Welcome. Today, we're digging into a decision that happens every single day on UK construction sites, choosing the fasteners that literally hold our steel structures together. It might seem like a small detail, but believe me, it has massive implications for safety, legality, and the entire integrity of a building. So let's start with the big question. In structural steelwork, is a bolt just a bolt? It's such a common assumption, and hey, it's a tempting one for any procurement department looking to save a few pennies. But the belief that any bolt and nut of the same size will do the job, that's one of the most dangerous misconceptions in modern construction. Because the truth is, they are fundamentally different, and that difference changes everything. So what we're really talking about here isn't just a comparison of products. It's a clash of philosophies. On one side, you've got individual components, a bolt from here, a nut from there, with absolutely no guarantee they'll work together under real-world stress. On the other side, you have the BSEN 1548 assembly. This is a complete, tested, certified system where the bolt, nut, and washer are all designed and proven to function as a single unit. This isn't about preference. It's about engineered safety versus a really unacceptable risk. So, over the next few minutes, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the false economy of cutting corners. Then we'll look at the legal compliance chain, the actual science behind an assembly, the manufacturer's role, what to look for on site, and finally, the solution that gives you peace of mind. All right, let's kick things off by talking about the money, because that idea of saving cash by buying components separately, it's what we call a false economy. Look, any tiny upfront saving you might make on generic fasteners is absolutely dwarfed by the immense risk you're taking on. We're talking about the potential for structural failure, project delays, your insurance being invalidated, and serious legal liability. So when you weigh the few pence you might save against a catastrophic failure, you see pretty quickly that the real cost of cutting this corner is just way too high. And beyond that financial risk, there's the unavoidable issue of legal compliance. This isn't just about what's best practice anymore. This is about what's required by law. You see, there's this unbreakable legal chain that starts right at the design stage. If your building is designed to Eurocode 3, then the execution standard, BSEN 1090-2, automatically becomes mandatory. And guess what? That standard explicitly requires that non-preloaded structural fasteners comply with BSEN 15048. So there it is, a direct, legally binding link from the designer's plan to the exact product you have to use on site. Let's be crystal clear about this. Under the Construction Products Regulation, it is illegal to put non-compliant fasteners on the market for structural use. For contractors and engineers, that means if you use them, you're not just taking a massive gamble with safety. You could be facing prosecution and finding out your professional insurance is completely void right when you need it the most. So why is the standard so strict about this? Well, it all comes down to the science of how these parts have to work together as a team to guarantee a predictable, safe performance. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from the introduction of the BSEN 15048 standard itself. The people who wrote the regulation knew that tensile strength is super sensitive to tiny manufacturing differences. They knew the only way to guarantee performance was to make a single manufacturer responsible for the whole thing. And the standard is very specific about what an assembly is. It's not just a bolt and a nut thrown in a bag. It's a matching set, including washers, and this is crucial, with the exact same coating applied under one roof, under one manufacturer's control. That's how you ensure every part works in perfect harmony. Now, this is where the science gets really, really critical. Mismatched parts often fail by something called thread stripping. That's a sudden, brittle, catastrophic failure with absolutely zero warning. A certified assembly, on the other hand, has to pass a suitability test, which actually tests the marriage of the bolt and nut together. This process guarantees that it's designed to fail safely through ductile elongation. The bolt itself literally stretches and gives you a visible warning long before collapse. One is a hidden time bomb, the other is a designed-in safety feature. So how can a manufacturer possibly guarantee this level of performance every single time? Well, the answer lies in a system called Factory Production Control. Factory Production Control, or FPC for short, is the documented quality system that the manufacturer absolutely must have. It's a regularly audited process that covers everything, from the raw materials they use to the final testing, making sure every single assembly that leaves their factory is consistent and performs exactly as it says on the certificate. This FPC system is like an invisible shield protecting the structure. It's what guarantees the bolt and nut are compatible.
It ensures the coating thicknesses are perfectly matched to stop the threads from jamming, a nasty problem called galling. It gives you that single point of responsibility the standard insists on. And it creates a fully traceable paper trail, right from the steel mill all the way to the specific connection on your site.
Okay, so all this certification is great, but it doesn't mean a thing if you can't check for compliance on site. So let's talk about your first line of defense, the visual inspection. The good news is you don't need a high-tech lab to do the most important check. Anyone on site, from a steel erector to a project manager, can learn how to spot a compliant fastener in just a few seconds. And it all begins with the markings on the parts themselves. Let's start with the bolt head. You're looking for 3 key markings. First, the manufacturer's ID. Second, the property class, something like 8.8 or 10.9. And third, and this is the big one, the letters SB. That stands for structural bolting, and it's the key sign that this part is made for use under BS EN 15048. And just as important, the nut has to have matching marks. You should see the same manufacturer's ID, the correct property class for that nut, like a 10 in this case, and again, that all-important SB mark. If either the bolt or the nut is missing the SB, then that assembly is not compliant. Simple as that. So let's boil that down to a simple 4-point checklist. 1. Check for SB on both the bolt and the nut. 2. Make sure they came in a single, sealed, properly labeled box from the assembly manufacturer. 3. Look for a valid UKCA or CE mark on that box. And finally, number 4, make sure a declaration of performance, or DOP, is available for that exact lot number. If any of those are missing, you can't use the fasteners. Now, I know this might all sound a bit complex, but the solution is actually incredibly simple. Just source your fasteners from a supplier who gets all this and has the certified systems in place to back it all up. And this is really where a supplier like Andrews Fasteners gives you total assurance. They hold the vital factory production control approvals for both UKCA and CE marking to the BSEN 1548 standard. That's backed up by their ISO 9001 quality system and even their approval for National Highway Sector Scheme 3. This isn't them just saying they're good. This is independently audited proof of compliance. By specifying and sourcing complete, correctly marked, and fully certified BSEN 15048 assemblies from a specialist like Andrews Fasteners, you just eliminate the risk entirely. You get total project integrity, you get legal compliance, and you get the peace of mind that comes from knowing your structure is held together by fasteners that perform exactly as the engineer intended. So we'll just leave you with this final thought. Your company's reputation, your professional reputation, it's all built on steel. So the real question is, what's holding it all together?